Good to be back to the internet again, and good to be making my videos again. Good to see everybody, and warm greetings from the beautiful city of Guiyang in Guizhou, which is a province in southern China. That's right, I'm back in China, and I'm spending the year teaching kids, and I'm learning a lot about childhood language acquisition, which is a field of linguistics that I had never really been familiar with before, so it's an interesting experience for me. Really cool place too, really beautiful city, nice people. It's a good place to be. I highly recommend coming here, and if anyone's ever in town, drop me a line. So, here I am in my beautiful Tongzhuang, or Qing Dynasty silk suit, and I'm here to make another video about the very interesting, maybe less studied topic in Chinese history, that is the rise and fall of the Jie, the mysterious tribe that emerged from the north and set up a dynasty in 4th century China. So let's continue by let's start by reviewing. There are a lot of names here, and it's important that we get all the names right. So let's go back at the beginning to the very foundation of this period in Chinese history. I'd like to start by reviewing that in the year 220, the mighty Han Dynasty split into 3 kingdoms, and these are the 3 kingdoms that maybe most Westerners are familiar with from the Dynasty Warriors video game series, if you've ever played them. But anyway, the strongest of these 3 kingdoms was called Wei, and it was led by the wily and devious Cao Cao. However, Wei's hegemony was not to last. It was replaced by the Jin Dynasty, which reunited China for several decades at the end of the 3rd century. Soon, however, trouble began with a loose confederation of tribes in the north called the Xiongnu, and they invaded northern China. They pushed the Jin dynasty into southern China and established their own kind of pseudo-Sinicized dynasties that didn't really speak Chinese but claimed to be Chinese emperors. And the Xiongnu were not ethnically homogeneous. You know, I have one very well-informed commenter on my other videos talking about how there are Xiongnu even with Indo-Iranian names, which is really cool. Xiongnu, but they were not one group of people. They were a catch-all term for a group of tribes. One of these tribes was called the Jie, and the Jie were led by the warlord Shi Le. Now, Shi, S-H-I, but we would pronounce it closer to our word S-U-R-E. That's how I think of it anyway. Shi is a very common Chinese last name, which means stone. But Le is his personal name. I shouldn't say last name, more maybe surname. And Le is his personal name, L-E. So Shi Le conquered most of northern China and declared himself emperor. The dynasty he called the later Zhao, having supplanted a dynasty called Han Zhao, which was not to be confused with the Han dynasty of 100 years previously. Sorry. Shi Le established his capital in the heart of China in what is now modern, or what is now northern Shandong province, in the very shadow of China's holiest mountain, called Taishan. Now, he may even very well have climbed this mountain, as many emperors have done to symbolize the legitimacy of his dynasty. Oh, a side note, if anyone's like me into the excellent Canadian rock band Rush, greatest band that's ever existed of all time, my all-time favorite band, they did a song about this very mountain. Had to put that in there. Listen to it, it's a good song. As many emperors have done, he climbed, well, he might have, this is speculation, but he was right there, so why not? He might have climbed this mountain, as many emperors have done, to symbolize the legitimacy of his dynasty. And even Chairman Mao did this, which is an interesting move for someone who claimed to be the elected leader of a people's republic, but whatever. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes very well. Now, Shi Le was a barbarian. He had no sense of honor, no sense of chivalry, nothing like that. All that mattered to him was plunder and power. However, having established his dynasty, he seems to have cooled off in his old age and became a Buddhist. He was even one of the first emperors to convert to Buddhism, and he played a key role, though largely unrecognized, in the early spread of Buddhism in China. Having established his claim to the imperial throne, Shi Le attempted to arrange for the continuance of his dynasty after his death. There were two primary candidates for the succession. First is the bookish and mild-mannered and popular Shi Hong, H-O-N-G, his son. Now, even though Shi Le was a ruthless and often cruel warlord, his son seems to have been a good guy. He was by all accounts a compassionate guy. He was a good-natured person. He spent his time reading the Confucian and Buddhist classics. The second candidate was maybe a little more unsavory. He was the psychopathic Shi Hu, H-U, a nephew of the royal house who had accompanied Shi Le on his conquest. And Shi Hu was a real bastard. It's really impossible to overstate how bad of a person he was. He was famous for having his own men, even his own sons, beaten to within an inch of their lives. Even worse, by the way, if you're eating right now, please pause the video and continue later. But it said that he had his armies cannibalize local people as a form of both psychological warfare and saving on provisions. He was not a good guy. Even Shi Le's hardened crew of badasses trembled at the mere mention of his name. Shi Le was himself no Mother Teresa, but he found his nephew's shenanigans disturbing to say the least. He wanted to have him killed, but was dissuaded by his wife. According to her, she said, "Before a bull grows up, it breaks the cart," preemptively quoting the bard in Much Ado About Nothing. But alas, this savage bull did not bear the yoke, and taking his advice was arguably the worst decision of Shi Le's career, and could be said to have doomed his dynasty. And in an ironic twist worthy of Sophocles, maybe even doomed Shi Le's wife. But more on that later. I'm going to break videos right now and upload this part.